o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. You all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Maravka. Here. Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Sluse.
Here.
Trustee Bowden.
Here.
Trustee Ham. Trustee Stir.
Here. All right, before we get started, I wanted to read a letter. Mayor March, please accept this letter of resignation of my position as Peatone trustee as of 8/9/21. My recent relocation to Peatone has changed my residency status. After long consideration, I've decided not to pursue annexation of the village limits. Please withdraw my petition of annexation submitted August 4th. I wish the village of Peatone all the best and hope for continued progress towards the town's bright future. Kent Ham. All right, moving on to consent agenda. We had, in your packet, there were minutes from our July 26, 2021 meeting, and also the payroll pay period ending 7/24, $49,386.75, and total accounts payable of $111,280.13. Any trustee want to remove any of these items from the consent agenda? If not, are there any questions on either item? If not, a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Jones, second by trustee Maravka.
Roll call vote. Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Maravka.
Yes.
Trustee Sluse.
Yes.
Trustee Ham. Trustee Bowden.
Yes.
And Trustee Stir.
Yes. All right, next, public comment and/or questions.
My name is Ann Noggle. I'm one of the chair people for the Peatone Historical Society's upcoming Fall Fest. And a couple of things that I'd like to bring to attention. We are an entity of the village of Peatone, and I always was under the impression that there was free mulch somewhere through the village through your brush pickup. And we're looking for some mulch to be put around the bushes and poles that are in the vicinity of the old mill. And I'm just wondering if either it can be dumped by us somewhere that we can distribute it, or if you know where we have to go to pick it up, one of us could bring our pickup trucks to pick up the mulch, but would like to know if that's possible or feasible.
Sure. I mean, we can talk to the Public Works Department. And
Okay.
Where do you want it dumped?
Good question. I mean, maybe we could find out easy words so we can, wheelbarrow it to the different areas to put it on around the bushes. Again, we also like to know if it's possible that we can hold our Peatone Fall Fest. It is on the 19th of September from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The workers will be working there ahead of time to put up the tents, canopies, chairs, tables, and wish to have that. I do have the necessary petition for it to be filled, that's already filled out to be handed over so that we can have it. Our biggest problem we're having is that there's new ownership of some of the properties behind the village, easements. So Bob Shin we've already contacted Bob Shin. He's given us his blessings to park back there. Where we have the problem is there's another neighbor or homeowner to, I believe, the northwest of the village limits of the Peatone Mill. And they're not allowing us. I don't know if there is a right-of-way for us to have our customers come, or patrons to come in there to park. But we need maybe, I don't know if there is Public Works to do that, or somebody can come there and let us know, because we're having a lot of issues with that particular homeowner. They don't want, they got no trespassing signs, they got orange cones, and that's gonna be a problem for us, because we need to have the people come up there to park back there.
Okay. Well, I guess that's something we can help you look into. I don't have an answer for you.
Okay, that's my public comments.
Okay. Yeah, and just submit that application,
I do
and
have
it will
it.
be on the board meeting next time for approval.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Angela Kraskowiak. The rest of you already know who I am. You were absent the last meeting. I did hear the letter of resignation, so in this instance, I guess I could say I don't have very much to say. I'm sorry that he did resign, but I'm glad that the proper steps were taken in order to, uphold the seat or not uphold the seat. I do have one question, though, that is kind of off topic. Am I allowed to ask a question about one of the new business points that are on the agenda, or is that only for trustees to discuss?
You can ask.
I can ask. I've never.
Might not get an answer, but you can
I
certainly
actually, I've kind of learned that already. Ask questions, you don't get good answers sometimes. But no, nonetheless, my question was with regards to item D. Why would we be stopping having an election for a clerk and then having someone appoint them? And who would be the person that would appoint them?
Well, the board would appoint a clerk.
Okay.
And the reason being is we were kind of caught unawares this last election. We found out after the date for candidates to enter that nobody had applied for that position. And so I just wanted to prevent future boards from having to go through the stress of trying to find somebody to run. And in a village as small as ours, I think it's advantageous to have the clerk be somebody that wants to work with the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically where that came from.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
If at any point in time annexation does happen on the Rathje Road property, is there a rule or a law that he can be appointed after resignation? I don't understand how that works. I'm actually looking at you because I'm assuming the lawyer would know how that works in this instance.
Well, you have to be a registered voter residing within the village to be a trustee.
Okay.
If you are a registered voter residing within the village limits, then the mayor can appoint. Actually, the mayor appoints the trustee, but the board has to give its consent and approval.
Okay. All
Okay?
right.
So
Thank you.
the answer would be theoretically yes, but the appointment has to be made within 60 days.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name's Ed Nelson. I live over on Hague. I wanted to find out, is the downtown revitalization a done deal? Is it going through? I'm a opponent of it. I don't think we should have one-ways or parallel parking. I've been downtown a lot, and I've been retired the last 3 months, so I'm around Peatone a lot. There is a lot of activity downtown. Do we need wider sidewalks? Not in our town. Do we need one-way streets? Not in our town. I just got back from riding a bike. I know you're a bicycle rider. Across Iowa, 500 miles in a week. We go through a lot of small towns. I know there's one that we went through that had one-way streets. They were huge streets, but they had angle parking. I think you would just kill the downtown. Right now, nobody wants to do anything. I can tell because I look around while you're still trying to make decisions on if you're doing it or not. Nobody's working on the buildings. Weed building, the weeds are growing up. The other ones, nothing's being done. So it's the money. I hear $1.5 million, I hear $2.5 million. What's the actual figure that's going to be spent for downtown?
So
Do we know?
Would you like me to answer your question?
Sure.
So it is not a done deal. We are still waiting the final report from our landscape design company that we hired. We are not considering parallel parking anymore. So we'll get that report within the next month, I would imagine. And you know, that's just gonna be a plan. That doesn't mean that everything's gonna be done right away. I do know that we're gonna be redoing the Railroad Street parking lot. That seems to be the board wants to do that, so.
The
we're
downtown
moving
does
forward with
need
that.
help. I mean, it needs something. I do agree there.
Do you have any ideas of what the downtown should do?
Yeah, Railroad Street does need work. Downtown, the Main Street, I would keep it the way it is. Repave it, make it look nice, get the buildings up to code, get the owners to do something, the slum owners, get them to do something.
Okay, thank you.
And the next question is, there was talk of annexing, I know that's coming up on the docket again in August, end of August. Did the village pay any money to look into having that property on Hatchie and annexed?
Nope.
Good. All right, thank you.
And that's a dead issue.
Good. Okay.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Any staff committee reports? I don't think we, other than Troy. Troy, you wanna give us?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
The West Street resurfacing project, as you can see, they paved, so the paving is complete. So all that's left is now striping, restoration, and punch list items, just some things they need to fix and clean up. So the good news is the paving is done. On the MFT project, North and Wilson, they're currently working on concrete replacement for curb and sidewalk. So there's a decent amount of that to do, and then they'll be removing the surface and paving in the next couple weeks after that.
Okay.
That's all.
Any questions for the engineer? Okay. And you said that?
Angie's here.
Oh, there's Angie. Oh, there you are, over there, I didn't see it.
Sorry,
No,
yeah.
that's all right.
I don't have any updates today. I still wanted to come to see if anybody had any questions. Any follow-up, we are done flushing.
Okay.
The area, so,
Any idea of when it will be hooked up?
no, yeah. I will keep coming and I'll give you the update as soon as I find out though, yeah. Yeah,
How's the testing going?
good, good, good. So, and I have been in contact with the park district regarding the trailer in the park and so, yeah, testing's going good.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask one more thing?
Sure.
To answer my question, do we know what we're gonna spend on the downtown? What our budget is or a range?
That will be in the final report that will be publicly available.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Angie.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to my comments, I wanted to congratulate the Peatone Car Club and the Tractors for a Cure for very successful fun events held over the last 2 weekends in downtown. I want to thank all the volunteers. I know that takes a lot of work to get that stuff done. As we remodel our downtown streetscape, I look forward to hosting even more events downtown. The village sponsored another successful blood drive. That was today, right?
Right.
At the Legion. And the next one will be October 27th at the Legion. And I want to thank our administrator for setting that up. Something exciting, the Hometown Heroes banners have been completed. Those will be hung downtown this week, weather permitting. They'll stay up until November and then be taken down until Memorial Day. Soon we'll start taking more applications to try to expand the program out to Route 50 as well. The state finally opened up applications for the American Recovery Plan Act funds. We filled our request last week. We anticipate receiving about $275,000 this year and the same next year. And we'll probably be using those funds for some much needed stormwater projects on Alborn and Conrad Streets. If you haven't filled out your board vision questionnaire, please send those in. I'm just waiting on a couple, and then we'll talk about that at a future meeting. And just a general comment, I think, the village is looking real nice. Thanks to the Public Works employees for the street sweeping, branch pickup, and the flowers. Thanks to all the residents for keeping their properties in top shape. And, if you're walking or if you're going for a walk around town, take a plastic bag with you and, pick up, see a water bottle or something like that on the ground. Appreciate you picking that up. Just one last comment. I just wanted to thank Ken Tam for his work on the village board over the last probably 5 years or so. I think he was a real asset to the community. I think it's pretty sad that he was, that he had to resign. He felt he had to resign. There was never any backdoor deals with his annexation or anything. He just was just a desire to stay in the village and keep serving the community. But unfortunately, some people had a problem with it. So we will look to try to find a trustee that, or a candidate that will fill his seat, and we'll keep moving forward. All right, on to old business. We have none. New business, ordinance approving revision of the personnel policy manual, Article 3, Section 3, .4, overtime and compensation time from 120 hours to 40 hours. And this came out of the AOC committee, so I'll have Trustee Bowden introduce that.
Okay, so we kind of discussed this a little bit as far as essentially comp time is currently at 3 weeks for village employees, that they can keep accruing up to that. As the village starts to grow, I think that that's going to put a burden on the village to allow up to 3 weeks of comp time. So what we kind of decided to do was keep the comp time at 120 for existing employees, but for new employees, we'll cap it at 40. And so that way, anybody who moves into those roles, that's the new rules for that. But the existing employees that are still here, they'll still get their 120 max and manage it that way. And that way, we'll kind of keep a lid on the expenses as far as going forward as the village starts to grow and add more employees and those kind of things. So it seems to be a reasonable proposal. It doesn't hurt any of the existing employees, and anybody who does join the village knows that going in. So now, we're not changing anyone's compensation or anything like that. So that was kind of the idea.
So Jim, can you write that? I don't believe we had that the existing employees were grandfathered in what we had.
Well, I have a question about that, just so that I'm understanding it. We're not going to reduce their current compensatory time,
Right.
but it will fall to 40 and then stop there. In other words, those that have over 40 now are not going to earn more. Or are we saying that the current employees can keep earning up to 120?
Current employees can keep earning 120.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the current employees are going to keep earning 120.
Yep.
All new employees will
Be capped at 40.
be kept at 40.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see what.
It's a little complicated, but we thought that was.
It's a two-tier program.
Yeah, two-tier program. There's a lot of them out there in the world, and it's fair to the existing employees who've been with us a long time.
It's just a one.
Yeah, it's one page on this.
I just kind of feel like it'd be kind of unfair to the new employees coming in,
They know coming in though, so take it, leave it.
Yeah, I understand it, but I know like Beecher had the same thing they did to us, and that was kind of a big burden. We spend all these times like doing comp time, so if something comes up, you can take like a half day Friday or something like that. It's kind of like a bonus for the job for doing something. That was one of our big things in our contracts and stuff was that, and they ended up wanting to keep taking away, and that was kind of the big thing. It's it's like one of those things you take away. Like, I understand new employees, they understand those 40 hours, but there's a lot of municipalities that let you take compensation of how many hours you want, sick time and stuff like that. And that's just my feeling on it. I mean, I know new employees might take it, but if another opportunity comes up where they can go to a different village for, for that
Okay,
comp time and
so-
stuff like that.
It's the policy as revised and presented. So it's actually the policy language that we need to make sure is correct.
2 weeks.
And the ordinance is okay. I think we're okay. And it does not specifically say, 120 to 40 or like that. It simply says that the personnel policy manual as presented to the board or to the committee is approved. So it's that policy manual that we have to make sure says that it's 40 for new employees, current employees 120. So we'll be able to do that without any trouble. And I think you're okay to go ahead with the ordinance and get it done.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, this would be ordinance 2122.
I'll motion it.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Bowden, second by trustee Jones.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Maravka?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
No.
All right. Next, item B, resolution approving the use of rebuild Illinois bond funds in the amount of $150,000 for Phase 1 engineering for reconstruction of West Street from Peatone Wilmington Road to Corning Avenue. So Troy, do you want to give us the update on that?
Sure. So this is for using the Rebuild Illinois Bond Fund, which is a grant the village received, all towns received it. It's coming in different ways of when the funding's coming, but this form authorizes the village to be allowed to use the funds for this project. I already talked to IDOT about it. They said it wasn't eligible use of the funds. So that's what this form is. Can I skip to the next one just to explain it?
Sure.
And for the agreement, this is for Phase 1 engineering for that West Street from Wilmington Road to Corning, like the mayor said. Just so you know what the Phase 1 engineering is, it's needed whenever you use federal funding. It's a preliminary engineering, or it's like a preliminary design, environmental studies, drainage, coordination, land research. So it's not the actual design of the project, like the plans that they build off. It's a study that needs to be done because it's federal funding.
So this is, again, for the rebuild of West Street from Corning to Peatone Wilmington Road. It's, one of the few streets in our town that doesn't really have curbs and, needs a lot of attention. This is similar, funds that we use to rebuild Ratchy Road and Corning and the other north side of West Street. Troy doesn't think we'll actually, get the funds till, 2026 or so, but we gotta start now with Phase 1 so that when it is our turn, we'll be ready to go.
So we'll apply for the actual funding for the design and the construction next year.
And because that needs drainage, that's a multi-million-dollar project, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we estimated somewhere around 125, I can't remember what it was, million for the construction. There's engineering, there's land acquisition needed, so it's a big project.
I have a couple of questions. Are we gonna be involved with land acquisition to make that wider?
Yeah, I think you'll need land acquisition either way because of where the railroad and the county fair, or the fairgrounds land is up to. So the road would be widened with curb and gutter. That would be the plan for it.
And then when we redo a road like that completely, can we go with the curbing, the real curbing that's barrier curbing,
Yeah,
as opposed to that?
for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's what we'll look at during design, but that would make the most sense for that type of road.
And one other thing, Is it possible to incorporate the wiring that's now on telephone poles? You know, by the Connor Shaw Center, if you ever just look at all that, that's a cluster.
You're talking about ComEd?
Yeah. Can that be incorporated to go underground? And that would be cleaning up the road, cleaning up the curb, making the road wider, and getting rid of all the overhead wiring?
If the ComEd lines need to be relocated due to the project, and it's in the right of way, ComEd will relocate them, but if the village wanted them underground, they would make the village pay for that. Where they would do the overhead lines for free, most likely, if it was in right of way. That's usually the way it goes.
Is that expensive?
I've never had to do it, but I would assume I don't know exactly what it is, but
It would sure clean things up.
yeah, could be looked into for sure.
Just add it to the bill.
And my 2 cents worth on the West Street project. Those guys did a very, very good job. I mean, it's smooth, I didn't see anything that would be a comeback to make it right.
That's good to hear, that's what we needed for the last one.
Yeah. And they hustled, nobody was leaning, they were all working.
Good.
Yeah, may I ask one last question? May I interject? I can't sit here any longer. If you're gonna say no, that's fine, but
We really need to keep it to public comment. If you would like a question, please contact me at mayor@villageofpeatone.com. I'd love to answer your question, okay? All right, so with the resolution, any other questions on that at all? Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion, this the resolution 21-R-07 to approve the rebuild Illinois bond funds amount of $150,000 for phase 1 engineering for reconstruction of West Street.
I'll motion.
Second.
Moved by trustee Marevka, second by trustee Sluse.
Roll call vote, trustee Marevka?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
And trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item C, motion to approve IDOT Local Public Agency Engineering Services Agreement between the Village of Peatone and Robinson Engineering for West Street between Peatonington Road and Corning Avenue. So this is an agreement that IDOT likes us to sign between the engineer and ourselves for this same project, correct?
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll motion it.
Second.
Moved by trustee Marevka, second by trustee Sluse.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Marevka?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Okay, item B, again, this came, resolution approving the change of the office of village clerk from elected to appointed position. Again, this came out of the Administrative Oversight Committee. So trustee Bowden, you wanna put your 2 cents in?
Well, yeah, I mean, after the last election cycle, we discovered we didn't have any candidates for the last clerk. And we had to do a little bit of scrambling to find a clerk to fill that role. So since we're less than 5,000 people and it's a fairly small town, we can, the law allows us to appoint the clerk if we want to, so that's what we're gonna do. That was the idea, just to make sure we didn't end up with no clerk.
Okay, and it also allows us, to get a qualified candidate, they don't have to be in the village.
Yeah.
We can appoint somebody from outside the
Yep.
village.
I think it'd be nice just to keep it election, kind of give it kind of feels like you're taking something away from the residents to be able to vote on it. At least, and also being able to stay a resident, the clerk working in the village, lives in the village and everything like that. I kind of think that's kind of important for the people, I mean, we gotta be pretty close to 5,000 residents anyways, so.
Is 5,000 the limit?
Yes.
But if you have more, you have to have an election.
Yes.
No, well, you have to have a referendum if you want to change it, correct?
Right. But if it's under 5,000, you can have an appointed clerk rather than an elected clerk.
So it could be changed down the road if we had to change it.
Yes. We could go back to an election, yes.
discussion, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Bowden, second by trustee Sluse.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Bowden,
Yes.
trustee Sluse.
Yes.
Trustee Maravka,
Yes.
trustee Sturba,
No.
and trustee Jones.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay. Next, I need a motion to go into executive session for discussion of minutes of lawfully closed meetings or or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06 2C21.
Motion. Second.
Moved by trustee Marevka, seconded by trustee Sluse.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Maravka.
Yes.
Trustee Sluse.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Bowden.
Yes.
And trustee Sturba.
Yes.
All right, the only action that will be coming out after our executive session will be possible release of those minutes.